Hi guys, welcome to APCA Chef Online. I'm Chef Tan. Today I'm going to show you how to make the gingerbread house. So it's a short demo. I'm not going to show you like a villa or whatever. I'm going to show you something simple for the gingerbread house. So for the first part, right, I'm going to do the gingerbread. For the recipe I'm using this time, I'm doing gingerbread cookies. Okay, because I don't like for a lot of people, the gingerbread is supposed to be a little bit sticky, but I realized when we make the gingerbread house, right, sometimes it cannot last as long. So I prefer to use almost like a cookies based recipe to make the gingerbread. So for the recipe, it's very straightforward. It's a creamy method. We have to put the brown sugar, honey, and the butter, cream until it's light. And if you like the classic way, you can change the honey to the molasses. It works also. It gives you a slightly different taste of the gingerbread.
Chef, please go slow. Unable to understand. So can you please
Okay.
repeat?
So guys, over here, right, I have the butter and honey. Then brown sugar. If you want, right, the honey and a small part of brown sugar, you can replace with molasses, because the classic gingerbread, right, usually we get a taste of molasses, but it will make the dough a little bit darker, and also the taste will be a little bit different. Since we know that we are going to make the class which easier for you to get the ingredients, so I switch it to the honey and the brown sugar. You will get the nice texture of the cookies as well. So after we put the sugar content and the butter together, now I'm gonna cream until it's light. Guys, don't confuse. For the honey, right, we can add this moment and we can add together with the egg. It doesn't really make huge difference. The most important, we have to make sure we cream until it's light, so the cookies are not going to be very hard, but they will be light.
Chef, what is rose flour?
Rose flour, you can use all-purpose flour. So now we have just to keep mixing until the mixture turns a little bit lighter and whitish color. And the other side, I'm gonna mix all the dry ingredients together. So for the flour, for this recipe, we can use the all-purpose flour, because in Malaysia, we are using the rose flour. It's our slightly lower gluten type of flour. So the rose flour or all-purpose flour put together, ginger powder, baking powder, cinnamon powder, salt. Just put all the dry ingredients together. It's very straightforward and simple for this recipe.
Chef, the recipe needs 2 parts of brown sugar, 250 grams and 170 grams. Which one was added? 60?
Both.
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 Is it different butter room temperature?
I would suggest to use the butter slightly cold so we can cream up nicely.
Can you just repeat slowly what is done from the start?
We mix all the butter and the brown sugar all together. Then after that, cream it until it's light. After that, I'm going to add in the eggs. Then all the dry ingredients together. We didn't do much.
Is it baking soda or baking powder?
Baking soda. Follow the recipe that I gave you. It's baking soda, sorry. And guys, for this right, the spice, we can always adjust the flavor that you want. Today I'm using a cinnamon and ginger because I feel this flavor is more suitable for Malaysian. But if you want to replace with other spice, you can do it. Okay, but just don't change the amount or too much.
So the total brown sugar is 270 plus 170.
Just follow the recipe. Just follow the recipe. What is the recipe written down? Did I get the recipe or no?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, guys, so guys, you have the recipe, right? Inside the recipe, you have 2 brown sugar. Just put all together. Okay? Alright, so as you can see, now the butter starts to be soft and creamy, and you can see the color is lighter. I'm gonna slowly add in the eggs. You know we have many brown sugar inside the recipe, 2 only, right? Yeah, just put together because, like I mentioned, guys, originally it's supposed to be molasses. I changed it to brown sugar so it's easier for you to get the ingredients. So you can just put together, no worries. So just add all the eggs together. And let it cream until mixed well. Alright, guys, that's important. When you do this kind of cream method, right, once in a while we have to scrape the side to make sure we cream all the butter nicely.
You do this without egg?
Do this without egg. Chef Ken are going to show you later stage the Christmas cookies without eggs. You can use it to make a gingerbread. It works. Because for this class we are not doing eggless, okay? So but we are going to do a similar recipe for the gingerbread with eggless. You can use that. I think it's the day after tomorrow or the next few days is going to do a cookies. So right, guys, as you can see now the mixture mixed well and it's light. We are going to add all the dry ingredients. Make sure it's all sifted because I already pre-sieved nicely, so I just put everything together. And after that, just let it mix well.
For the cookie, is too sweet with 250 plus 170 brown sugar plus 170 grams of honey. Please clarify that.
No, it won't be too sweet. For me, I don't think it's too sweet. So you have to try and taste it. Then after that, you judge. Now it's difficult to judge because you haven't tried it. For me, I think I like these cookies because after I tried to adjust the sugar content, I think this is one of the gingerbread cookies dough that I like it the most because I get crispy texture and it's not going to stick to my teeth and it's light to eat. So you can try. You can try and see whether you feel the sweetness is good for you. If not, you can reduce the sugar content a little bit, but the texture are going to change a little bit as well. For me, I always try the recipe before I judge the recipe because with a chemical reaction between the recipe, right, because you have a light, like aerated, like leavening agent inside the recipe, with a same amount of sugar, it might taste a little bit different in each bite because it's lighter. So it's very difficult for you to judge whether the recipe is sweet or not just based on the theory or the recipe list out like this. So I suggest if you want to be a good chef, you have to try. Then after, just roll it in between two parchment paper. I'm going to roll it around 4 mm to get the thickness that I want. So guys, you can have a look on the texture. So it's a dough texture, but it's light. And after rolling between the parchment paper, I'm going to roll to 4 mm. Alright, so after roll to around 4 mm, right, now I'm going to place it inside the chiller to let it set nicely. Normally we have to place 2 to 4 hours, let the dough become cold. If you want it to be fast, right, you can put inside the freezer first, after that transfer to the chiller. Then when it's cold, right, I'm going to start to cut it.
If we want to use the molasses, which ingredient should we substitute with molasses? Is it just the honey?
You can change with honey, okay, or you can change with a small amount of the brown sugar with the honey together. Depends how strong you want the molasses. But I would suggest you start, the original recipe, right, is brown sugar and the honey supposed to be molasses together. But I tried the original recipe, I find the color is a bit strong. So I would suggest you to try to switch with the honey first. Then after, if you feel you want to be stronger in the taste of molasses, you can switch with the small amount of brown sugar with the honey too. But I think guys, for me, I think this flavor is more, the sweetness and the flavor are going to be more suitable for general, more suitable for everyone. instead of you switch it, right, I think if myself, I feel the taste of molasses, I cannot, I'm not saying I cannot take it, but I don't think it's as nice as this, because I try both recipe. So you can try and see which one you like. And now guys, because of demo purpose, I already pre-prepared the dough and chill nicely. Now I'm going to cut it. And we are super lucky nowadays, because if you online search, you can get plenty of sensor of gingerbread house. Today I'm going to just show you something quite straightforward, because the demo is going to be only 1.5 hours. And over here, normally after you search the stencil or templates for the gingerbread, after print out, then I cut it to the cardboard. So after that, it's easier for me to cut it out to the shape that I want. So I'm not going to take too much time on cutting everything, because I already pre-cut and pre-baked somehow of it. So now I'm just going to show you the texture of the dough after chilled. So after chill, we have to remove from both sides. Alright, and guys, this is the 4mm, which we are going to bake and use as a main structure. But after you will see, some of it, right, I'm gonna bake and roll it to thinner. For the side decoration, like the jitney or other things, that will be thinner. Usually I roll to 1 or 2mm, because they are going to expand and raise out a little bit more inside the oven. So because there's the baking soda inside, so make sure you don't roll it too thick. Otherwise, right, they are going to be very thick, and when you build it, it's not going to be very nice.
Can we use the same dough to make gingerbread man?
Yes. Guys, for the gingerbread man, if you are not looking for the eggless, this is a very good recipe for me, because I will tell you, it's not a classic gingerbread house recipe. It's not a classic gingerbread, because classic gingerbread is very sticky to the teeth. Okay, this is a recipe I tried. Then it's more like cookies, and I feel it's more suitable for nowadays what we want to eat. If I want to sell, right, I'm gonna do this, because before, when I use the classic recipe, when I do a gingerbread house, I don't like to eat it. It's going to be nice, but this one is nice to eat on the same time. So for gingerbread cookies, this one is very suitable, I feel. And one more very important point is, these dough, right, are going to raise inside the oven, but they are not going to expand like crazy. It's not going to expand a lot. So you can maintain the shape quite nicely. We don't need to do a lot of changes after baking. So now just use a small knife to cut out the shape that we want. You can use a paring knife, you can use a X-Acto knife, no problem. So in the middle, we can use a round cutter instead of cutting like this way. And make sure the dough is cold. As you can see over here, I have the plastic tray. I keep it inside the freezer, so it's cold. When I cut, it's not going to be soft too fast for my dough. So after, cut the window. And with a star nozzle, I can cut another 2 windows on the side. And after, one of the most important parts, I would suggest to bake on the silk pan like this, okay, or perforated mats, because when we bake like this way, right, the air circulation is better. The dough are going to bake, one is very even, and second part, right, which is very flat. So when we take out the dough, it's going to be flat without any air pockets. So if your dough is too soft, after you transfer, you let it cool down inside the chiller. Then after that, you can shape it back according to the shape of the stencil. So you get the roughly similar with the stencil that we have. Maybe with the door, cut it out. Okay. And for the window on top, right, because I want to make it open, so I will cut half. Later we are going to stick like this way, open. Okay. So guys, now I'm gonna bake it straight away inside the oven. If you are not rushing, you can leave it inside the chiller to let it rest for minimum 2 hours. Then only you put inside the oven to bake it. To bake this, 160 degrees, 10 to 15 minutes. After that, reduce the temperature to 120, bake for another 20 minutes. So total, right, we have to bake around 30 to 35 minutes. So I repeat one more time. First, 160 degrees, go inside the oven, you bake 10 to 15 minutes. Depends on the size and the thickness. So after you see it get color, start to dries up, reduce the heat to 120. Then continue bake for another 20 minutes. The reason we do like this is, first we want it to raise up, okay, and get a nice color and get a flavor. Afterwards, we don't want it to go darker, but we want it to be dry. So reduce the temperature to 120, can dry it nicely. If you use 160 from starting until the end, right, you will see the surface are going to be slightly darker, which is not so nice for the gingerbread house because it's more difficult to match with the color icing. Any question?
Chef, my oven is not big like you, then what about the big pan? Should I cut to half?
But they have a smaller size. They usually, for the perforator match, right, they will sell 30, this is 60 times 40, there's 30 times 40. Or there's smaller size as well. So now I'm gonna bake it. I will, follow me.
Different sizes, it's not gonna bake uneven. House is too large and windows are too small.
For if you follow the way that I bake, right, because I'm using high heat for a short period. So after you reduce to low heat, right, to dry it up, it's a little bit theory like how we do meringue dish. So it's not going to overbake. The reason I do like this, right, is to make sure every part is dry. So instead of fully bake it, I'm baking halfway, then change to drying. So they won't have like uneven, one side is very dark color or overbaked, the other side is not. Okay? And one more tips for you all. If your oven is not ventilated, you don't have the ventilation to pull out, right? If it's always closed, I suggest after you bake 5 minutes, open the oven for a while, like 10 seconds, to release all the steam. For the first 10 to 15 minutes, you do like this way. After you turn to drying part right, you can just leave the oven closed because on that time you don't have much steam inside the oven. Okay?
So when changing the temperature to 120, should we open the oven or not?
Open for a while to release the steam and let the oven cool down a little bit. Because not like my oven, right, is going to cool down very fast. I think in your house oven, if you feel it's going to cool down very slow, you have to open until it cool down to that temperature. My oven, within 2 minutes to 3 minutes, right, it can reduce to 120 right away because there's a fan.
Open once or more?
Which one? Not every 5 minutes. For the first 15 minutes, you have to open. So 3 times for 15 minutes. Okay.
So just open like that.
10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Does the fan help in the ventilation?
Yes. But if you have a strong fan, sometimes it makes the product bake very fast, then it might going to be darker. And if you change the recipe to the molasses, the dough are going to be darker, so be careful. So guys, are we any other question for the dough? No? So I move for the icing. This is will have a lemon. This one, white vinegar? You can switch. Where lemon juice? That's okay. And guys, for the royal icing, if you see the recipe, I put the white vinegar inside the recipe. How many grams we put down? I put the rest. Can I see the recipe that we put down? Sorry, because for the white vinegar we put quantity sufficient. Yeah. I give you the exact amount. For 500 grams of royal icing, right, 80 grams of egg white is correct. But because this icing is mainly for eating, because we are doing a gingerbread house, right? Because if you want to just use it for presentation, you can follow the recipe. It's nice to use. But if you want it to eat, I suggest to switch your white vinegar to the lemon juice, so you can make it taste acidic but also have flavor. So with lemon juice, right, for this recipe you have to use 40 grams for the base. Okay. After that, I will show you if you want to make the icing more liquid. Okay, you might have to add more. So the base is going to be 40 grams of lemon juice instead of white vinegar. The reason we use the acid inside the royal icing is to make sure it doesn't turn white or oxidize too soon. My assistant prepared for me the white vinegar because I'm using mostly for demo. So I use the white vinegar, but actually you can use the lemon juice, it tastes better. So over here, I have the icing sugar. And my recipe is smaller, guys. I'm doing only half recipe with what you see.
Can we go for half white sugar and half brown sugar?
Royal icing?
I think gingerbread.
You mean gingerbread? You can go for half white sugar, half brown sugar. If you don't like the taste of molasses, because the main difference between the normal brown sugar and the white sugar is they have a coated a thin layers of molasses, or it's not bleached so nicely. So originally it's already we want molasses because I will use it. If you want to have lesser molasses taste, then you can use white sugar half to taste. But it doesn't make sense. Now you take my recipe, you switch it to molasses, then you switch brown sugar to white sugar because you are switching too much. You understand? One way you want to have molasses taste, then after that you feel the color is too much, then you replace with white sugar. For me, this is extra step. You just follow, then you get the molasses taste and get the color. So don't switch everything. But if you want to switch, there's no harm, but it just doesn't make sense for me. And after put the egg whites and the icing sugar, I'm going to cream it with the paddle. This is when the oven alarm on to do it. So guys, for the base of the icing, royal icing, right, I want it to be slightly thicker so I can use for sticking the gingerbread nicely. But when it comes to design, we have to take out the royal icing and adjust it with the lemon juice to make it more liquid. And once we see it mix well, we are going to add in the white vinegar or lemon juice. So with the acid inside, right, it will help the mixture. Actually, when we have contact the acid with the egg white, right, acid will help to change the structure of egg white to make it slightly thicker. So you will see the mixture are going to become more whitish and they are going to become lighter.
How do you store the icing if not using the whole quantity?
Chiller. But if you store the icing inside the chiller after 3 or 4 days. The next time we want to use, right, you have to take out and mix again. Then usually it will split, the egg white will start to split out. Especially if you have a recipe, the more liquid you have inside the icing, like what we use for decoration, make it more watery, you will see it split more.
This is egg white, not egg white powder, right?
Yes, egg white. But you can use, I know Chef Angelo showing them with egg white powder, right, for the icing. So you see which one you like to use more. The way I'm doing is more classic way. So both ways work, okay? For the taste, it won't have too much difference, but with using the lemon juice can make the taste much better. As you can see now, the mixture going to become very white. Let it steam for a while. You see, it might help me to get a little bit of lemon juice for adjusting the thickness.
Is the quantity of egg white powder the same as the fresh one?
Egg white powder, but you just follow the recipe that Chef Angelo give you. Then it's okay, it's already adjusted. Alright, right now the texture of the royal icing is done. As you can see, it's very creamy. I'm going to show you. You see, it's very creamy. And it's very white. So it's nice for us to use for the any kind of decoration. Okay? But as you can see, because we have acid inside, right, the royal icing is a little bit firmer. It can hold the shape nicely. So we can pipe different design on it. Any question for the royal icing?
How long can you store this icing as we are using the egg whites?
Not super long. For you all to understand, if you want to be very safe to eat, because I would suggest to use this kind of icing cookies, right, to use a dehydrator. Okay, so you can dry it nicely. As you can see over here, I have a dehydrator. One reason is to prevent oxidizing, and second to remove all the humidity so the cookies can keep long. But for this royal icing, I would suggest do not use more than 3 days. Okay?
Can we use pasteurized egg alone?
But of course, it's better.
Can you flavor this with orange zest or any gel colors?
Flavor with gel colors?
No, orange zest.
Orange zest? You can, but you have to take out the zest afterwards. How you going to fight thin one if you want to use the zest? So I'm not suggest that, but if you want to flavor it to do something big, which you can go through the nozzle, so no problem. But if you want to use a small nozzle to fight the string or small line, then you cannot use for the zest. Okay?
Okay, can add in the gel colors.
Yeah, later I'm gonna show them to mix. So guys, now I'm going to show how to mix the icing. Because right now the icing we have is thick. You can see you hold the shape. It's good to use for sticking or to create some design. But to make, I show you. So here I have the cutout that I done earlier. But if you want to make the icing like this, flat, the royal icing that I give you now is not possible because it's too thick. So what we have to do, just adjust it with lemon juice. But before you adjust the lemon juice, right, you have to adjust the color that you want. Now I'm using a gel color, so if I want to have a sharp yellow, just mix it. So I have a yellow color icing, but thick. Usually the thick icing we use it for creating the design or the outline, like this. Okay. So this one I'm gonna put a little bit inside the packing bag because I'm gonna use it for creating a smoothie. Then the remaining, I want it to be more liquid. So what I'm gonna do, I have lemon juice over here. Just add lemon juice to make it more liquid.
Can we use water instead of lemon juice or vinegar to adjust the consistency?
Well, you can, it works. But I would suggest lemon juice because the taste is better, and also it prevents oxidizing. So your, like after we're done, right, sometimes you keep for a long time, like 1 week, 2 weeks, it's going to be whitish. With this way, it can help to prolong the shelf life of it to become whitish. So you can see now it's more liquid. Okay? So now I'm going to start to build the gingerbread. So guys, I'm going to show you some simple design because like this right is easy. I'm gonna skip it, but I'm gonna show you the how to make a Christmas tree. Suddenly I don't remember the name. I'm gonna show one, okay? Because the method is same, and also for the gingerbread house, right, the method is same, okay? Just the design a little bit different, but you see then you know how to do. It's very straightforward, the piping, okay? So I don't want to waste much time, otherwise after we build a house it's after 3 hours, okay? So I just prepare one by one. So with this, it's important to have a chair.
We will bring the...
Okay. Then you remember I mentioned earlier, right, we have 2 icing. Okay, one thick, one more liquid, right? So we start with a thick icing first. So it's green color for the tree. Just cut a small hole and pipe the edges. So this can create some outline for our Christmas tree. Then afterwards, we have to use liquid icing. So you have an outline to make sure it doesn't come soft. The way I show is very simple. I'm sure online, right, or other, you can find a lot of different design. Because due to the time, I cannot show you something too complicated. But also, I don't think you will want to be very complicated. Otherwise, you cannot do it at home. So just move it around to make sure it's flat. So it's important we have to have a liquid. Or if you have something more details, we can use a needle to just mix it. to make it flat. Alright, it works the same. So as you can see, like this way we get a design for the Christmas tree. So it works the same for all the design you are going to make. And one very important part, guys, which we always short off or we don't do it. After we're done, right, I suggest directly put inside a dehydrator. And with a dehydrator to dry it nicely with a temperature around 40 degrees, you will get the icing dries out evenly without the whitish color, and it will be a bit more shining, especially if you're using an acid. If you are not, the icing, right, a lot of time you are going to be like pale color, not shining, and there's a whitish mark if you are keeping in the room to dry. So to do the icing with cookies or gingerbread, dehydrator is important. There's no other way without. I try with oven. The problem is oven, right, usually the temperature is a little bit higher. The icing are going to change color. So dehydrator is the best. Keep the temperature around 30 to 40 degrees. Not hot but warm with fan helps to dry it up. And now I'm going to start to build it because I have all the sets. This I'm just show you. The red color, the door, exactly same way.
Chef, I made Madeline. You told us left it for overnight. I have one sheet for Madeline. What about the leftover batter? Can I put the batter in refrigerator with piping bag?
Yeah, normally if you have suddenly Madeline. It's okay. Normally if you have one more for Madeline, don't worry. You pipe it inside the mold, you keep overnight. The batter also you keep inside the chiller. The next day after you bake the first round, okay, let the mold cool down. After you coat the butter, coat the flour, everything again, okay, you use the cold batter, pipe inside, then bake it right away. It's the same thing. As long as the mixture is cold, you are going to get a nice hum. Okay? So now I'm going to start to stick it.
What is the brand of the dehydrator?
I don't think, because it's from China, so I don't think you can.
No brand, is it?
Actually, no brand, because there's a brand. It's a translation from Chinese, so it's Canyon. You can use whatever dehydrator, guys. Don't worry, sir. This one is from China, from Taobao, so boy, it's useful and not so expensive.
Chef, without the dehydrator, what can be done to dehydrate? Keep it in the room temperature, will it dry?
It will dry, but the color are not going to be nice, and also it depends on the humidity you have in your country. Sometimes your cookies are going to become soft. So if you don't have dehydrator, I suggest you put inside the box with a moisture absorbent. So you can absorb the humidity inside the box, okay? And your cookies are not going to become dry. Sorry, and your cookies are not going to become soggy. And guys, now I'm going to start to build the gingerbread house. But today, because of time consuming, usually I use dry icing. But today, because I want to make it faster, I use sugar. I melt the sugar or isomalt. Helps me to stick it nicely. Okay? But it's just to stick a little bit as a base, because I don't like to use sugar to stick it too much. Otherwise, right, if you keep in the room, sometimes the sugar are going to melt and fall off. So I'm just use isomalt sugar to hold the shape. But after I'm going to use dry icing to cover it. So I will. Yeah.
This one, no specific timing in the dehydrator. Should it be left until it dries?
Yeah, you can leave overnight to leave it dry. Me, if I'm not using a dehydrator, I leave like this forever. So it can last forever. It's going to be dry all the time. But if you leave overnight, if it's dry already, you want to use for next batch, you keep it inside the box with moisture absorbent, so you can keep long time. Exactly same like how you keep cookies. Usually, if you want to keep the cookies for long ride, you have to keep inside the box with moisture absorbent, right? Same way like this way. Okay. So we have 2 layers of this and this for the side. So first thing, I'm going to stick it. With sugar, it helps to hold the shape nicely. But this is, guys, again I repeat, don't misunderstand. Usually if you have time, right, I suggest you to stick everything with royal icing. Me, I just want to make it fast, that's why I stick with sugar. Because at least I have to show you how I'm going to join it. Otherwise, this one's supposed to be royal icing, you join it, and you leave it long time. Like after you join it, keep it like half hours to 1 hour to let it dry a little bit, then you proceed to the next one. And there's one tip, if you feel your dough is not straight or not flat enough, you can use a sandpaper or tester to clean the side to make it very flat. Okay? So this way is fast. Within a short period, we can join the gingerbread house easily. Then after, just use a dry icing to seal it.
Just melt the isomer or sugar. Do you need to check the temperature?
If you are using sugar, you have to caramelize it. If you're using isomer, 170 degrees. So I use isomer to hold the shape, then I use dry icing to cover it. So there's a protection for our isomer, it can last long after it dries up. And you can seal the hole. If your area is cold, you can use chocolate to stick it first, no worries, guys. It works also the same. Then after that, after the chocolate stick ready, you use a dry icing to cover it. Then you don't need to be cold. Even though with a warm temperature, you can hold the shape. So clean off the excess of the dry icing. You don't need to worry that it's dirty because we are going to cover it afterwards. Then inside also the same way. So you see the inside, cut the dry icing like this way. Then after that, seal it up so it sticks nicely. Inside you can stick more because we can't see the inner part. So like this way is strong. So guys, normally if you are using only the royal icing, Until this stage, you have to leave it dry inside the dehydrator, or you leave it inside the box to dry up. Okay, or just leave it like this. Don't touch it for 1 to 2 hours. Let the raw icing already dries up. Then you can start to build the top parts. Now I'm using the isomat. That's why I'm gonna continue with the next step because it holds the shape. So with a roof. I have the other one. So with the roof, just pipe icing over here. Then join it nicely. Scrape the inner part to make sure it cover all the hole. And make sure it match, it's not going to be too low for our roof. And with the design, right, because I'm going to have another small, how to say it? Small house. There's another extension of house on the side. So as you can see, the sensor I do right, I have a hole over here, so I can stick the other side. It's like a car park. But if you want to do a normal one small house, you just use 2 same way, the same sensor, it works.
The roof doesn't need isomalt.
But again, guys, I'm just showing you fast way, so I use isomat. If I'm building to sell, I'm not going to use isomat. I'm going to just stick with all the wire icing. Just now, because I want to be fast without waiting for the base to set, that's why I use isomat to hold it. Now for the roof, I don't need, because it can already hold the shape. Then after that, pipe the icing again. The other side, one more. To be safe, over here we can join it as well. Okay, then for the side, right, I think it's safer if I put on so it's not going to move too much. Then I can turn around easier. After this, keep aside, let it dry a little bit. This one. For the base, we can put the dry icing like the snow. So this way you can help to stick as well.
So, Chef, what glove are you using? Is it food grade or surgical?
Food grade. Food grade. But any glove you can use, guys. Just for doing food, I suggest to use a food grade glove. It's better. Then after, make a mark like this, so you have the design. Scrape the icing. Alright, so clean the edges. But actually, some people they don't like to clean the edges because they want to keep it random like the snow. It works also. Because I keep a small space for the small house on the side. And to be frank guys, this time I cut the base a little bit too small. Because I have prepared the other sets. The house is too big, then it expands out from the land. Then after to stick it nicely, you just put a little bit of raw icing. So it can stick nicely with the base. Alright, so it's not going to move a lot. Simple and safe. And the other side, now I'm gonna join the small house. So again, to hold it, I use the isomer first. Without it, it works. You can use icing sugar to stick as well. Just I want to make it faster. Wrong side. Sorry guys, I used the wrong side for a moment. That's the side. The side one, not the two other ones. Yeah, I kill you. This one, another two. Aha. Strip off the icing sugar. So just join it nicely. Then with the roof. Same way with the roof, I'm not gonna use the isoma to join because you already hold the shape over here. So I will just put the icing. So guys, you can have a look. So we have a small and a big and a small house. And afterwards, you can, if you want to make it nicer, we can always put another layers on the side, like this way, to make like a more finished small house. So this one, right, after stick, we have to let it dry up nicely, then before getting the next design. So I have another set which is I prepared earlier, that almost the same step. Okay, then I dry it up. So I will show you. So it's halfway finished for the house, and you can see I have a chimney. Okay, same way, follow the stencil. If you want to have a chimney, you can just put it without, it's okay. Over here I have two windows, but I'm gonna stick after this. I just make a mark to measure the window. Okay, like this way. Later I'm gonna put the snow, sorry, not snow, the royal icing on top to make like a snow. So exactly same with everything. Over here, stick with the window, and later I'm going to stick the door on top. So now I'm going to show the finishing of it. Just use the rising, spread it. Over here I did the same. Now I just do a demo for you all to see. You can create different kind of design, up to you. I like it to have a snow effect. I'm going to pack afterwards. Don't put all, you just put like 80%. Then the other 20%, you have to put in another. So roughly cover everywhere, then we can make the line. Go away. And after that, window. Now without the window it works, guys, depends on you. Again, like any kind of design you can use, so no worries. And now I'm gonna do the finishing by piping the dry icing on top. So over here I use a star nozzle, a small star nozzle. Alright, so create some design on the middle.
Chef, how to make that curved part of the window?
Curved parts. So you get the ring, okay? You cut the dough. You use a cutter to cut the dough, cut to half. So you arrange on top and bake inside the oven. Okay? So you get the curved part. Then after that you can cut another one, small one inside to after dry you can join it together. So you get like what I have over here. Okay? And you pipe the raw icing inside. Okay? Let you see the front. Oh no, cannot. Oh yeah, guys, I have to pipe, so it's difficult to see the front. And after the joint of the roof, I pipe again. Get the design. And after, we have to make sure the house looks like the snow is dripping. So with thick icing, same way. I think over it inside has to come here. Yeah, because otherwise they can miss.
Bake in curve, not perforated.
Oh no, because you can if you want to put a perforated, it doesn't make much difference. But as you can see, they will have a little bit of the dough is not as smooth. But no worries, you can just you can see the dough is not as smooth, but it's not very obvious. That is the problem if you don't have perforated nets on this. But it's not very obvious, so you can't really see it. Then after that, just pipe like the snow. Thick icing. For all the design I make is mostly thick icing. The liquid icing, right, usually I make just for the design inside the cookies. So you see with the dripping of the snow, it looks better. For the back, I mean today is a demo, so I'm not gonna do too much on the back. It's the same way. I'm gonna just do the side. Because later we can have a Q&A section to explain you better. And guys, trust me, you go online, right, you can search a lot of design of the gingerbread. you can get some idea from there. I think it looks nice. And the dripping of the snow, try to keep it random, then it looks nicer. Don't pipe it very consistent. Too consistent, it doesn't look natural. So like this way you can see you have a nice effect. And with the top over here, of course have to remove it.
Even the dripping also is thick icing, right?
Yeah, dripping is thick icing. If it's liquid icing, you cannot do the dripping. Then to seal the house. I forgot.
They said your house is pretty.
My house is what?
Your gingerbread house is pretty.
Pretty. Okay lah. It's not complicated, it's simple, can be much better guys, but just this way is it's a short demo. So there's the details. I think it's nice to sell with the size like this. If I want to sell, I won't make the car park. I will cut off this one if I want to sell, otherwise it's too big to sell, I think. But it's guys, to be very frank, you can find much more better gingerbread house in the picture or whatever, online or books. This is just a very straightforward way to make the gingerbread house, but with the snow and everything, right, it can make it look nice. And after done everything guys, now I'm gonna use some candies to make the design. Well, today is not the candy class, so I'm not going to show you how to make the candies. But if you are all our subscriber of APCA Chef Online, so actually you can do the gummies and all the candy by yourself. So I'm going to show you. We can use different colors of candy to make it fast. Usually I don't use too much of the buying stuff, but for gingerbread house, I think it's too troublesome. In the demo, I show everything by myself. The demo are going to be long. So we can use the candies, especially green, red color, to make the house more attractive. I have to turn. I forgot to stick the door. My house don't have door, they got a lot of teeth. Sorry guys, I forgot to stick the door. So now I'm going to stick it.
How to make eggless royal icing?
Chef Angelo, the...
It's meringue powder.
Oh.
You use meringue powder
Tomorrow Chef Ken.
Chef Ken is
Oh, Chef Ken is going because he's doing Eggless. Boy, Chef Ken saved me. Chef Ken are going to show you all the eggless one, so I think he will have to use the dry icing without the eggs. That's more like it with the dough. Guys, now it's more on a small finishing, so alright. Then on top, if you feel it's too white, you want to have some color. Usually the kids like to have the design like this. No, guys, it's very simple. This one, don't get cheated by the looks of it. It's super simple, straightforward. The design, the stencil I have, right, very simple. I go online, I search the simple shape of the gingerbread house, then I print out, I just cut it out. You just follow it to cut exactly how many pieces they want, you can get it. Everyone can do it. Trust yourself.
So tomorrow is promotion at the Eggless.
Not tomorrow. Tomorrow or the day after? Tomorrow?
Is it ginger man?
Gingerbread man.
Is it
Yeah, I saw he practiced. He tried he made few extra gingerbread man. Guys, any eggless, you ask tomorrow, Chef Ken. And it's important, guys, for Christmas. Green color, white color, silver, yellow is super important, so it brings out the effect.
Is royal icing safe to eat since it contains raw egg white?
But you can use a pasteurized egg white. Or you can pasteurize yourself, guys. You can take a egg white, then you heat it up to 65 degrees with a little bit of sugar first. Then after that, you use it for royal icing. It works. Just I'm using for demo, so I skip the step. Or in our school, we have pasteurized ready egg whites. You can use it as safe. And if you have a dehydrator, remove all the liquid, then it's super safe. So no worries.
Can use the meringue.
It's royal icing, how come it become meringue? Just take, guys, just the reason we heat it up, double boil to 65 degrees, right, is to have the royal icing, the egg white to pasteurize. Not we want to whip it up. You see my royal icing is not whip up a lot, huh? Just cream it nicely, but not whip up too much. Otherwise, right, later your icing is going to be too airy. Then sometimes it's difficult to create a lot of design. Especially you want to have this kind of smooth surface, right? It's very difficult if you have a very airy icing sugar. Sorry, if you have a very airy royal icing, then you have a lot of air. I will take some time to decorate. Okay, I think this is one of the most important parts since we already have a structure for the gingerbread house. So as you can see, guys, it's very nice if we create some different colors. If compared to the plain one, it will look much better. And also, We can use some gummy to give the effects as well.
What percentage of sugar should we use for pasteurize the egg white? Say 10% of the egg whites?
But 10, 20, maximum I think is 50. Don't go more, same amount of egg whites or more than egg whites. I think 50 or lower is good. If just egg whites is a little bit difficult to pasteurize because they are going to cook easily. With I think 30% to 50% of sugar inside of icing inside the egg white, it helps to make it not overcook easily. And after you're done, right, usually you will see your pasteurize, the icing is a little bit like meringue, a lot of air, right? Don't worry, because after you put together with the remaining icing inside the mixer, they are going to be fine. Anytime after COVID. Actually, now they can visit also if they want to. Just, I don't know how you want to come here. You can visit anytime, and most of us, like me, Chef Nicholas, the shooting crew, Azar, everyone is here. So you can come and have a look over here. Our admin is there. Don't come on Sunday, we won't be here. Come on other time. Oh, I forgot. Sorry guys, I just stick too much on my phone. I forgot to stick the Christmas tree.
It's not actually Christmas tree.
I read a lot and so the Christmas tree. The thing is, I prepared the base too small. So now no space already. I think everyone don't mind like Christmas tree on top of the roof. No.
Only for you lah.
Joking. I'll find a space for it. Guys, this is my sister Casey. She sponsored me the Santa Claus. It's not made by me, it's made by Casey. So with the half Santa Claus, I think it's nice. So you can see, put a half Santa Claus here, and the other Santa Claus. Yeah. Right here. So I'm going to stick it. Is using the marzipan or fondant to do the Santa Claus. Very straightforward. So guys, you can have a look. This is our. Let me double check before I turn around to you. see any space I think can have a little bit extra design here. Alright, so this is our gingerbread house. So let's, you see guys, very straightforward and simple, not too complicated. I think usually with, and one more most important part, to create more like a Christmas effect, the snow. So I'm gonna use a snow powder. So some snow powder. Snow. So like this way we get a better finishing. Maybe the front part also a little bit more.
So the speed of mixing royal icing, is it medium low?
Medium is okay. Just don't mix for too long. Otherwise, right, it's going to be over airy. Just to mix it nicely, then that's it.
Chef, can you show us quickly how you assemble the 3D Christmas tree?
Oh, 3D Christmas tree, simple. Okay, no problem. Let me put down this one. I put the board underneath to make sure it's not getting too dirty just now for the snow powder. Green color. You help me to clear this part? Okay. So I'm gonna put the
Please upload the image of this house in the group for reference.
Yeah, we take a picture.
After.
How? The picture for this?
We'll take it upstairs and just video. It's a nice picture.
I'm glad that guys you like it. It's very straightforward. This one. You actually, if you take your camera, can make much better. You can even do a villa with very high. 2 years, 3 years, next year. No, let them do themselves. We just show them.
Is dehydrator to be used for any component of gingerbread house or other than cookies?
Actually, it's not a must to use a dehydrator. But if you want your gingerbread house, like what I do, have the design with the icing, smooth icing on top like this. I would suggest to use a dehydrator because I learned this from those people who are selling the cookies making also with icing roll. I mean the roll icing on top, because a lot of time you see online, their roll icing is like this, very smooth, very even color. But sometimes if you don't have dehydrator, right, when you do it at home, you see it's like whitish. There's a white spots. Because I'm doing that before also. Sometimes you keep this outside for a long time, right? You will see it's not going to be same color. It's not going to be shiny also, because you are not going. They oxidize and without keeping inside the dehydrator. Okay.
How long to dry in the dehydrator?
1 day is okay. 1 day then it's fine. To stick the Christmas tree, then you see you have one part like this, then half. Okay, just place it like this. Simple. Then keep it inside the dehydrator to let it dry. So you get what I showed you over there. And you can do big to small, up to you, and many layers. Now I show you only the 3 layers. You can go for more layers so it looks more 3D. Any other question? Other? No? Okay. Yes.
We are on time. I'm just worried later I've done too much overtime. That's why I prepare more for you all. Okay, guys. If no question, we are going to stop it. Thank you very much for watching the Gingerbread House, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Early Christmas for everyone, because I will see you in the future. Thank you. Bye.